citizens. And Ms. Wilden, if you don't mind this evening, I would like to take just a moment of silence. This has been tough last week here at Columbus North High School. Lost both a student, Val Ramos Hernandez, and then also a staff member here at Columbus North High School just last week, Stephen Dornquist, who was a Columbus East graduate. So if you wouldn't mind joining me in a brief moment of silence in memory of both the losses here at Columbus North High School. Thank you.
Okay, our first order of business on the agenda is a public hearing. So I'll actually gavel out of our formal board meeting to a public hearing, and then we'll gavel back in when that's done. So, gaveling out of the meeting, Dr. Bozeman, if you would.
Good evening, Mrs. Wilden and members of the board, thank you. As you mentioned, we invite the public to offer any feedback or thoughts on our additional appropriation. If you move ahead to the next slide, please. The details of that appropriation are outlined there. 3 items: salary and benefits due to the increase of school safety officers at Columbus North and Columbus East High Schools, the addition of 1 school resource officer from the Bartholomew County Sheriff's Department, and equipment to outfit those SSOs. At this time, Mrs. Wilden, if you would entertain any thoughts or feedback from members of the public.
Okay, so as a reminder, in our normal school board meetings, people can always sign up to speak in a blue form at the back of the room. A public hearing is very different, though. You don't have to sign up. So I invite anybody who would like to ask questions about this appropriation or offer commentary before we vote on this later in the evening to do so at any time. You can just walk up to the podium. It's not as scary as it seems, I promise.
Test. My name's Colbin, and I live here in Columbus, and I'm here tonight to speak in support of the additional appropriation you're here to vote on this evening. I've spoken at length multiple times at these board meetings about the issue of school safety, and I think that I don't want to repeat anything that I've already said except for this, which is I think that kids deserve to feel safe when they go to school. And I really think the role of the SSO, the school security officer, is a step towards fulfilling that goal. So I encourage all of you to vote yes for this additional appropriation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, all right, thank you. I will end the public hearing portion of tonight's agenda and gavel back into our normal business meeting. Next on the agenda, we have so many recognitions. It's a very exciting night, maybe the favorite board meeting of the year. I think first up, we have our robotics team. So if I can have the team from Smith and Central Middle School. All the impressive kiddos, please come up so we can see you.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share news about 2 of our robotics teams from BCSC that will be attending the World VEX Robotics Competition in Texas this year. These teams have worked incredibly hard, and we are excited to share a little bit about their journey, their roles, and their passions for robotics. So now Coach Kyle will speak about the Central team.
Hi, my name's Kyle. I've had the honor of coaching all these kids, both at Central and Smith this year, but I'm going to speak about the Central team. The Central team you see here before you is the most experienced VEX robotics team in the BCSC district. Most of these kids started at Smith 3 years ago and led that team to the VEX Worlds in 2023. So all of the Central team has been to, this will be their second trip to Worlds, and 2 of them, this is their 3rd consecutive time to go to Worlds. As founding members of the district's VEX program, they've helped lay the foundation of success that we're seeing today within BCSC. Not only have they helped grow the program at Central, but they've also worked to help grow the program within BCSC by volunteering at several of the elementary schools and also helping the other elementary teams at the competitions here locally. Help them improve their build quality, their coding, and everything that goes along with it. And then several of these students are also going to help start the new program for VEX Robotics at East High School next year. So with their continued commitment to learning and improving their skills, they have set a new bar of what's possible with robotics and BCSC, and we're incredibly proud of all of them.
Hi, my name is Brian Bush. I'm going to be speaking about the Smith team here. So this is team 59813B. You'll hear a little common theme with that. This same team is going to the World Championships for the 3rd year in a row. This team, the team is comprised of different students. As Kyle mentioned, you see the Central team here that also came from Smith. So we only had 1 team member from last year's Smith team that made it to the World Championships that's on this team again this year. So great job here. Their dedication, the spirit of this team 59813B just remains constant from year to year. Their hard work has paid off once again, and we're very excited to be going to the World Championship. One last little thing. So the team number, 59813B, is the exact same team number that's made it all 3 years. So something magical about this team number, not only with the team, but it is the flagship for BCSC, carrying this team, these students, our drive and determination all the way to the World Championships again in 2025. Thank you.
And in traditional VEX fashion, we are going to let the students each introduce, or team members each introduce themselves to you. They're going to tell you their role on the team, their name, obviously, the grade of school that they're in, and maybe what they really love about robotics.
All right. Hello, I'm Hannah Widener. I am an 8th grader. I drive the robot, code the robot, and build the robot.
Hi, I'm Dawson Payne. I'm a driver and builder, and I'm in 7th grade.
Hi, I'm Owen Johns. I'm a 7th grader, and I drive and build.
Hi, I'm Colin Swartzbaugh. I'm a 7th grader. I drive, load, and work on the engineering notebook.
Hi, my name is Joseph. I drive, code, and I do a little bit of engineering notebook and some loading. And what I love about robotics is that it helps with kids' engineering and helps them focus on something.
My name is Evan. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm a driver, builder, coder, and engineering notebook.
Hi, my name is Naomi. I'm in 6th grade. My role on the team is to drive, engineering notebook, and load.
Hi, my name is Brock Michael Childles. My role is engineering notebooking, loading, and the reason why I like robotics is just to have fun.
Hi, my name is Rosabelle. I'm in 3rd grade. I drive, load, and robotics is just fun.
All right, and real quick, we have one member on this Central team that is actually at a track meet right now, Isaac, and he's, again, from Smith and has been on the Worlds a couple times now, so.
As you've heard, the students on both teams share a common love for robotics. It pushes them to think critically, work together, and find creative solutions. Robotics isn't just about building robots. It's about building skills for life. These students learn teamwork, problem solving, and time management, also how to adapt to challenges, which are all vital skills for life. Their passion and dedication not only help them succeed in competitions, but they also inspire their peers to get involved in STEM and explore the possibilities that robots have to offer. Now, Mr. Payne will conclude our presentation.
In closing, we are incredibly proud of our students and their achievements in robotics. The hard work, innovation, dedication they've all shown have brought them to this incredible opportunity at the VEX Worlds. And we know that they will continue to represent BCSC with pride. We'd like to thank you for your ongoing support, because without BCSC's support, we could not do these things in our schools. We look forward to sharing their continued success with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Ms. Wielden, they're being humble. Both some honors from this weekend. Hannah Widener won the middle school STEM Student of the Year at the Mela Gala, South Asian Gala over the weekend. Wow. Hannah, congratulations. And on top of that, the other central coach that couldn't be here tonight, who teaches STEM there, and I think they have 6 teams that they run at Central. Mr. Jonathan Wolford was the middle school STEM Teacher of the Year at that same event. Congratulations.
Okay. Very good. Our next item is top 10 students from Columbus East, Columbus North High School. Dr. Charles Edwards. You are not Charles Edwards. I'm so sorry.
Good evening. I'm Braylon Nolting. I'm assistant principal for cohort 2025 at Columbus North High School, and I will let the video play.
My name is Grace Wong. I'll be attending either Princeton or Columbia University in the fall to study mechanical engineering. My favorite BCSC memory has been Food Fridays and poker in our math class. Some of the teachers who have made the biggest impact on me are Mr. Spock for organizing Mega Puzzle every year and Dr. Hagner for igniting my passion in physics.
Hi, I'm Misa Kawamura, and I will be attending UCLA for psychology. My favorite BCSC memory was the Chicago trip, and the teacher that had the most impact on me would be Mr. Russell, because he really changed my perspective on history, and I really enjoyed his class.
Hi, my name is Srilakshmi Srivatsan, and in the fall I'll be studying either neuroscience or psychology at IU or Johns Hopkins. My favorite BCSC experience would be going on field trips in elementary school and just getting a taste of freedom and responsibility from a young age. And then my favorite BCSC teachers would be my middle school biology teacher or the C4 teachers at North, because they really shaped my understanding of science and made me more interested in wanting to study it.
My name is Annabelle Sun, and I plan to study neuroscience on the pre-med track at either Georgia Tech or IU Bloomington. And my favorite BCSC memory is playing in the pit during the musical, and I've participated since my sophomore year. And the teacher that has made the most impact during my high school career are probably my C4 Biomech teachers, especially Mrs. Steinwettel, because she always supported my dreams for my love in science.
My name is Mila Esposito. In the fall, I will be attending Franciscan University of Steubenville, where I will double major in communication arts and theology and minor in Spanish, and also pursue the honors program. My favorite BCSC memory has been all the sports, clubs, and classes that I've been involved in, and the teachers that have made the most impact on me are Mrs. Hill, Mr. Marks, and Ms. Hant, because they taught me to think critically about my classes.
My name is Ruth Ann Gilroy, and I will be attending Boyce College, which is located in Louisville, Kentucky, to study elementary education. My favorite BCSC experience has been C4 as a whole, specifically being able to be a C4 ambassador for my education professions class, and this year being on the C4 leadership team. The two teachers that have made the biggest impact on my life have been my freshman year math teacher, Mrs. Whitaker, and Mrs. Newell, my education professions teacher, because they have both supported my love for teaching and passion for education.
My name is Neil White. I'll be attending Purdue University next year for computer science. My favorite BCSC experience is sophomore year from cross-country state, being able to be up on the podium with all of my friends and people I'm still close with today. And then the teacher who's impacted me the most is David Spencer, my 11th grade English teacher. He taught me to have more of a passion for what I'm learning about, and especially like what I'm reading and what I'm writing about.
I'm Macy Eaton, and I plan to attend Purdue University and study engineering. My favorite BCSC experience was winning cross-country state my freshman year. My favorite BCSC teacher is Mr. Spock, because I really enjoyed his AP Stats class.
My name is Kara Bunton. I'll be attending Florida International University in the fall, studying biochemistry on a pre-med track. My favorite BCSC memory was being on the golf team. I made a lot of personal connections and great friendships with all the girls on the team. My two favorite teachers are my C4 nursing teachers, Mrs. Westerfeld and Ms. Richards. They really supported me in my decision of going to medical school instead of going to nursing school, and they really helped me get my medical assisting license and really prepared me for the future.
My name is Roma Sriram, and in the fall I'll attend either IU or Case Western University to pursue neuroscience on the pre-med track. My favorite BCSC experience has been the biomed pathway, and I really appreciate how invested BCSC is in career exploration. And the two teachers that have made the most impact on me have been Mrs. Steinwettel and Mrs. Horn, as I've been pretty involved with them from my freshman to my senior year. I've grown not only as a student, but also as a leader and as a communicator, as I've also been involved with them for HOSA, which is a club that we have here at North.
Every time I hear them speak or their accomplishments, all I think of is wow. What a great group of hardworking, high-achieving students we have, and we are very proud of them. Before I introduce them, I want to share a little bit of a unique situation we have this year with our top 10. We have 4 students tied for valedictorian. So we have 4 number ones, so I will read their names and I will give their rank. But I didn't want you to be confused when I say number 1 4 times. They tied with a 4.33 GPA. Okay. Grace Wong, number 1. You step forward. You can. Misa Kawamura, number 1. Number 1, Srilakshmi Srivatsan. Number 1, Annabelle Sun. Number 5, Mila Esposito. Number 6, Ruth Ann Gilroy. Number 7, Neil White. Number 8, Macy Eaton. Number 9, Kara Bunton. And number 10, Roma Sriram.
We're gonna play it again. I don't know how to use basic technology.
Hi, my name is Tyler Ernst. After I graduate, I plan to attend Taylor University to study finance. My favorite BCSC experience is playing 4 years of varsity men's tennis and volleyball at Columbus East. And my favorite teacher is Dr. Harrison because he makes English a lot of fun and he always is kind and compassionate to his students.
Hi, my name is Sophie Anderson and I plan on attending the University of Dayton in the fall to study biology and minor in neuroscience and psychology. My favorite BCSC experience was definitely cheering at Northeast games and then also getting involved in unified track and helping them out. And then my favorite teacher here, or like the teacher that's had the most impact on me, would definitely be Mrs. Morrell because she definitely introduced me to the medical field very well. She's a biomed teacher here and I had her freshman year and then junior year too. So she definitely introduced me to that well, and as well as my future career plans, which is genetic counseling.
I'm Tabitha Martin. I'm gonna go to college for atmospheric sciences. I'm still deciding between Purdue and IU. My favorite part of school was my 7th grade field trip where we went to the fairgrounds in Indianapolis. I think it was called the Ethnic Expo, and we got to walk around and learn about a bunch of different cultures, and they had things we could buy, and we got to eat at the mall afterwards. My favorite teacher is Mr. Lynott because he got me really interested in science. I had him freshman year for chemistry, and then because of that, I took AP Environmental. I've taken a lot of science classes since then, and I really enjoy all of them.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Tyler. My future plans are to go to Ball State to major in earth-based science teaching. My favorite BCSC experience was going caving with the Hamblings. And my favorite teacher is Mrs. Buck because she told me to do things for myself and not for others.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Rook. I plan to major in engineering at Purdue University. My favorite BCSC experience is playing volleyball here at East High School. And my favorite teacher is Mrs. Hambling. Even though she's retired, she made physics fun and exciting.
My name is Grace McMahon. My future plans include going to IU Bloomington to major in biochemistry and pursue a pre-medicine pathway. My favorite BCSC memory is winning the state championship with the team that I helped found and captain this year, my senior year. And my favorite BCSC teacher has been Mr. Walls. He's been the most passionate teacher that I've had. He's very passionate about teaching, and he taught me anatomy and biology in my freshman year.
My name's Alex Duncan, and my future plans are to go up to Purdue and study electrical engineering technology. My favorite part of my BCSC experience was playing basketball here at East, and my favorite teacher is Dr. Harrison, just because of the way that he teaches his class, and he's really funny.
My name is Darby Rocker, and I plan on going to IU Bloomington in the fall to study history and education. My favorite part of my BCSC experience was definitely switching over to the CSA program. It really helped me expand my learning and grow as a learner and a student. And my favorite teachers are Miss Buckler and Miss McKinley because they really helped me through some of the tough parts of my life.
Hi, my name is Amelia Faye. My future plans after high school are to attend a four-year university to get a bachelor's degree. My favorite memory from my BCSC experience was going to the Florida Keys with Mr. Walls on the ocean science trip. And my favorite teacher is Mrs. Porter because she always makes sure I understand the material, and she's always willing to stay after to help me, and she makes sure I'm never behind.
My name is Alex Winsler. My future plans are to attend IUC to major in criminal justice and pursue a career in law enforcement. My favorite BCSC experience was when we did our mock traffic stops in criminal justice. We had live police officers come in and give us grading and feedback on how we were doing. My favorite BCSC teacher would have to be either Mr. Ward or Dr. Harrison. Both have been great mentors for me, giving me advice to help me out in the future.
Purdue won this year, by the way. Every year.
Somebody else on here is the strong.
I'm going to do the same thing I did the other day and embarrass a few of these folks before they leave the room. But first, the most exciting part of this job is the young people that I get to see, the amount of talent and passion and hard work that they demonstrate, and no students more so than the 10 that you just saw up there. But among that group, I'm going to point out the fact that we have one Heritage Fund Award scholarship winner in there. Lilly Scholarship, right, through the Heritage Fund. We also have one next generation educator, a $10,000 scholarship per year for 4 years, and going to go be a teacher in the future. And then also, Miss Grace likes to point out that her team won a state championship because she thinks that way, which is part of what makes her such a great young person. But she was also an individual state champion in the girls wrestling, first year ever in IHSCA girls wrestling. So again, please join me in a round of applause for all those students.
Can I also say this is my 5th year getting to recognize top 10s, and for the first year ever, Purdue won. Okay, Purdue beat IU in the top 10 picks. If I can have a round of applause for that as well.
Good evening, and thank you for the honor to announce the 2024-25 Classified Employee of the Year for each school building and department. Nominations were accepted from students, staff, families, and community members. Voting then occurred to determine the Classified Employees of the Year. As I call each Employee of the Year up to the front, I ask that the audience hold their applause in order to hear each person's name and kind words from their nomination form. Jennifer Thompson, Business Office Specialist located at the front desk in the administration building. Jenny is a ray of sunshine who greets everyone with a genuine desire to assist, creating a warm, inviting atmosphere for all who enter the building. Janice Reed, Special Education Teacher Assistant at Clifty Creek. Janice consistently goes above and beyond in supporting students and teachers, creating a welcoming and effective learning environment for students through her innovative approach to problem solving and unwavering patience. Jill Abram, Book Buddy Coordinator at CSA Fadria. Jill is kind, thoughtful, dependable, and goes the extra mile to make students and adults feel appreciated and important. Kelly Hensley, Lead Custodian at CSA Lincoln. Kelly is extremely reliable, a leader in the school, and strives for success. The students and staff are very fortunate to have Kelly on the CSA Lincoln team. Chelsea Gerald, Building Secretary at Mount Healthy. Chelsea offers a welcoming smile for visitors in the office. She is very efficient in her role and has worn many hats throughout the school year, always keeping up with providing top-notch support for the students, staff, and families of Mount Healthy. Tiffany Lowe, Special Education Teacher Assistant at Parkside. Tiffany is a gem and works hard every day to support student learning needs with kindness and patience. She also serves as an athletic director and leads Odyssey of the Mind. Nicole Kerfman, Special Education Teacher Assistant at Richards. Nicole provides a balance of structure and love to ensure students feel safe, included, and successful in an environment that provides expectations, grace, and patience. Sharon McDonald, Special Education Teacher Assistant at Rock Creek. Sharon is kind and helpful to all students. One parent notes, "My child feels so special when she is in his class." Sharon's passion and hard work do not go unnoticed. Norma Mendez, English Learner Teacher Assistant at Schmidt. Norma puts every ounce of her heart and soul into her work to share information with families. She is professional and caring and is a shining example of someone who desires to make a positive impact at BCSC. Nancy Stevens, Building Secretary at Smith. Nancy goes above and beyond to know every student by name and create a warm environment for everyone who enters the building. Whether during school hours or at school events, she makes Smith a better place to learn. Jamie Ashcraft, nurse at Southside. Jamie takes care of all students in Southside daily, meeting each student's needs with understanding and kindness. Her dedication to maintaining a healthy school is commendable. Ruann Cave, Lead Custodian at Central. Ruann demonstrates compassion for students and staff, taking the time to understand their needs with a dedication to ensuring the school environment remains supportive for everyone. Cindy McCoy, bookstore manager and athletic director at Northside. Cindy goes above and beyond for all the sports teams at Northside. You can tell that she loves what she does and supports the students and coaches well. Ashley Travis, nurse at CSA New Tech. Ashley knows all of the students at CSA New Tech, jumps in to help no matter the need, and is actively engaged in the success of students. She deserves to be recognized for her hard work and dedication. Daphne Mace, lead custodian at Johnson Early Learning Center. Daphne goes above and beyond all expectations to maintain cleanliness, functionality, and safety, ensuring that our youngest learners can thrive in a supportive environment which remains clean even after meal times in an early education center. Cynthia Dilling, cafeteria manager at McDowell. Cynthia does not just prepare and serve food to students. She treats her responsibilities like she is preparing and serving food for her family. In fact, she calls all the students and staff she encounters as her BCSC family and makes a positive difference in their lives. Tanjana TJ Skinner, Student Services Coordinator at ISC. TJ's leadership and dedication to bettering BCSC has proven to be impactful through her ability to excel when given large-scale projects, such as centralizing the enrollment center. Her demeanor creates an inclusive and accessible enrollment process. John J.R. Owen, bus driver at operations. J.R. is a dedicated bus driver who is always happy and ready to help students and fellow drivers. His dedication to BCSC is unmatched, and he is a pivotal team member on the operations team. Fabiana Vieira da Costa, Cultural Learning Center Coordinator at CVP. Whether she is helping translate for new enrollments, leading her English class for adults, or helping students at CVP, Fabiana is energetic, kind, and helpful as she motivates students to pursue their dreams. We want to also congratulate those who could not attend this evening: Seth Hundley, Jane Dornquist, and Joseph Cole. Please join me in celebrating the 2024-2025 Classified Employees of the Year. Okay. Give people a minute, but we will go ahead and move on to our next agenda item, which is school board member reports. I will start with board members in the room.
And down at the end, Miss Lloyd.
Good evening. A couple of updates from the school foundation. Dr. Phillips alluded to this, but it was quite a busy weekend for BCSF. Saturday morning, we kicked off with the Good, Better, Best 5K. That's hosted in collaboration with Mr. Todd Grimes. So it was great to see Todd. It was a great turnout, lots of student runners. The event actually honors Chuck Grimes and Ross Wallace. And it was a wonderful opportunity to celebrate a current BCSC teacher, and Mrs. Casey Andrus was recognized at the race for being out of the box and innovative, and so it was really great to celebrate her. She received $500, so it was a wonderful time, a little windy, but a great, great morning. Saturday night was the South Asian Mela Gala, and also a wonderful community event which supports STEM funding for BCSC. Comments were made by community advocate Srikanth Padmanabhan, Mayor Ferdon, and of course Dr. Phillips. 3 students were recognized, and I know we mentioned Hannah, but the elementary school student was Theo Newell from Taylorsville Elementary, Hannah Widener from Central, and Aya Saad from Columbus North High School. In addition to 3 teachers, Jason Davis from Parkside Elementary, Mr. Jonathan Wolford from Central Middle School, and Dr. Kathy Osborne from Columbus North. So great opportunity to celebrate STEM and the Columbus community and BCSC. Council for Youth Development has closed the Youth Ambassador application process. They had 63 applications for 25 openings. The selection committee is made up of youth serving representatives from the community, and decisions will be made mid to late May.
Mr. Major?
Yeah, so the Redevelopment Commission met this week. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend due to a funeral in Terre Haute. The Health Trust met as well, and there's a 4% increase in enrollment, which is encouraging that more people are beginning to use the insurance, which helps settle the cost some. And then we should have in May a preliminary cost study that's complete that kind of gives us guidance as to where we're headed. So I hope to have more information then.
Mr. Stenner?
Thank you. The Business Advisory Group held a meeting last week. The presentation for that group was on the C4 program at BCSC. Amazing presentation. Dr. Hack, Mr. Yates, Ms. Strevel helped make the community more aware of what's going on with the C4 programming. But then also, I think we're quite open to suggestions, ideas, and feedback from the community about how we can continue to make the program even better. I think the board has enjoyed a presentation on C4 in the past, but the statistics were amazing and I can't resist. 3,100 students involved each year, 118 classes, 30 distinct pathways offered. Most schools in Indiana offer 7 or 8 pathways. Our C4 program offers 30 distinct pathways. There are 12 clusters. The state recognizes 18 clusters that can be offered. We offer 12 of the 18. The other 6 aren't even worth offering. I'll just say that. Students have the opportunity to earn more than 12 certifications while they're in school. There are 8 partner school corporations that are part of our C4 program, BCSC plus 7 others. 46 instructors and teachers who receive from BCSC a lot of professional development opportunities. So knowing the trade or the subject, but then also knowing how to teach. We'll hear a little bit about Envision 2030 tonight. C4 uses about 125,000 square feet in our buildings, which are always in need of upgrades and improvements. And then for the first time, we have dual credit agreements in place now with 3 universities, Ivy Tech, or 3 universities, higher education institutions, Ivy Tech, Vincennes University, and IU Bloomington. That last one just got added. That's for our education program. So an amazing presentation, and again, lots of good feedback from the business community, many of whom are involved in C4 in one way or another. The other committee that I sit on is Dr. Bozeman's District and Facilities Committee. Committee members have helped Dr. Bozeman with the process of winnowing down choices for the construction manager as constructor. Did I say that right? Is that what CMC stands for? Sounds kind of ridiculous when you say it out loud. But we've narrowed down the choices for CMC for the Mount Healthy School, which will be quite complicated, but there's a presentation later on during the meeting. I think it's a good one.
I've not had any meetings since our last board meeting.
The IU Advisory Board met on April 9th, and part of their meeting focused on retention and graduation rates, kind of similar to what we try to focus on here. Their retention rate is above peer institutions that they compare themselves to. Their graduation rate is slightly below, so they talked about some of the things that they are doing to improve their graduation rates. They implemented an early warning system that required all faculty and all courses. They enhanced academic support. They implemented enhanced support specifically for 21st century scholars, and they are focusing on support for special groups. The example they gave are students that are also parents of young children. The legislative liaison report, so the session just ended. There are over 40 new laws that impact education. I am not going to talk about all 40 of them. I'm going to look at just the few that the Indiana School Board Association highlighted. One is the budget, and I'm sure we'll know more about this as we dig into it. But the state projected increase for BCSC, preliminary projected increase, 3.6% per student in 26 and 2.1% per student in 27. That's a little bit misleading. I think this is correct, that we used to collect textbook funds through rental, and in the past couple years, since the state stopped that, they had a special grant that went to curriculum material, and that's now rolled into to that budget. So those increases are, this is my estimate, but they're inflated by probably about 1% because of that rolling into that funds. I can be corrected later on those numbers. And Senate Bill 287 affects us as school board members. Beginning in 2026, candidates for school board must declare themselves as Republican, Democrat, Independent, or nonpartisan, which means the party designation is left blank. School board races will not be included in primaries and will not be included in straight ticket voting. And this is another one that I think will impact BCSC, and we'll hear more about this later also, but changes to the teacher appreciation grants. The amount of funding was decreased from $37.5 million to $35.6 million, but the biggest change was the new legislation limits it to 20% of a district's teachers. The recognition stipend is for, well, I won't go through all the details, but there are 3 different levels of teachers. In the past, it's been teachers that were, okay, I got to get these straight, exemplary or proficient, is that right? Were exemplary or proficient were, could receive the teacher appreciation grants, and now it's limited, and there's quite a few different criteria that they have to meet. But the big thing is it's 20%, the limit of 20% of the district's teachers. And finally, universal vouchers, beginning in the 26-27 school year, so a year off, there will be no income limit to qualify for a voucher to attend a private school. And the High Ability Broad-Based Planning Committee that I'm also on will meet on May 13th.
Mr. Glick.
So Wellness Council met April 8th. It was remote due to the floods. Surprisingly, we did not talk about kayaking or swimming in terms of fitness and wellness. Mainly discussed activities throughout the lower grade levels, discussing further activity, whether 1 recess, 2 recesses, and what are other activities that the classrooms and teachers engage in to kind of help gather attention, work out some of those little squigglies and stuff that the younger students have. Really, it was more of a discussion of a working group that it was prior established and kind of case study of what we saw.
Mr. Schultz?
You ready for me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, there's been no meetings for CCIC since the last meeting. I think it's next week, so no update from me. Apologize.
Next on the agenda are cabinet reports. We'll start with graduation rate. Now I can introduce Mr. Charles Edwards.
Yeah, those students had worked so hard. I didn't think it was fair to put my face in front of you guys. I wanted them to be recognized. So here I am, and I want to go through the graduation rate update for you all. And really, when I was asked to do this, I wasn't quite sure what to put in front of you. I get the privilege of being able to go in and see the hard work that is going on a daily basis, and it's really hard to describe. Just to say they're really getting it done, they're seeing students and they're making a difference and that sort of thing. But I did put some metrics together to kind of quantify some things to take a look at. So if we are looking at the class of 2025 graduation status update, we are quickly approaching marching day graduation. So our cohort size is holding pretty steady at 838 students between North and East. And I know that on your mind is, well, what's that graduation rate? And it's a window for us. And so right now we're somewhere between 88 and 92. And I know that doesn't seem like a very small window, and it maybe feels like it should be smaller, but we are cognizant of the fact that things could happen between now and then that would take some students out of the running. And so I just know I sat in a cohort update today, a cohort meeting today, to hear all the wonderful things that are going on. And I will tell you that folks are working hard to make sure that students are going to graduate. So we're somewhere between 88 and 92%. Our general diplomas, looks like we will be handing out about 1%, about 10 of them. Alt diplomas somewhere in the neighborhood of 6. And then I think one of the really impressive stats is that somewhere around 50% of our graduating students will be receiving some kind of an honors diploma. So it's about 49.5% at North and about 49.8% at East. So we are seeing a lot of strong outcomes across both schools. Next slide, please. So success indicators for us, number of students who are coming off of the credit deficiency list. And so I have, again, I'm able to see all of the credit deficient lists from day one. And when I look back and kind of look at where we are now, about 63% of those students have cycled off. And that's a pretty impressive number. And what that translates into is more graduates for BCSC. There's been a significant decrease in the number of individual students with failing grades. Again, so that translates into more students passing classes. Lots of focused support to help students gain credits, dual credits, so that we can get more students who achieve honors diplomas. And again, that's going to have us somewhere around 50%, as I said on the last slide. And then we are continuing to meet with parents and students to increase participation and completion. And that's a big one because, again, we do have students who are, they still need as much help as they needed on day one. And so trying to get them across the finish line is critical, and having parents support helps tremendously. Next slide. This is important. This was important to me to express this, that we talk about the cohorts being put together in order to help students, as many students as possible, and sometimes students don't graduate. It's the harsh reality of what we do, but this story was touching to me because, again, we're in the final weeks and there's a lot of work to do, but this is a student. This is a student that we know is not going to graduate, but we have put into place some supports, and this student now, again, has a plan for what happens when they leave high school. They're leaving with a certificate of value that will enable them to go out and start participating in the work world ASAP. So she's hopeful about her future. And again, we want to graduate as many students as possible, and that's what we're built to do, and that's what we try to do on a daily basis. But we also support those that we know may not. So anyway, that is the update that I have for you all, and I'd ask if you have any questions.
Two things. One, real quick, thank you for putting the range. I very much appreciate that. I know I've probably driven you crazy asking for that in the past, but I do appreciate that it gives us a good idea of where we're headed, right? It may not give a perfect number, but it's going to be much better than 83 or whatever it was a couple of years ago. So that just shows that things are being done the right way and that there is progress being made. The only question I had was like one or two slides where the parent contact. Are we really, really close to 100%? Or are you struggling having to get parents to respond?
Thank you for the question. You suggested to us last year that it would be very helpful if we paced ourselves so as to reach 100% before the end of the first semester. Last year we took an approach like we're going to talk to all the parents before the end of the year. I'm happy to report that we were able to talk to 100% of everybody before the end of first semester.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I have one comment and then I have a question. So Mr. Glick and I had the opportunity to sit in on a cohort meeting at East, and it was a phenomenal experience, and it was great to see them working hard at, this was for the sophomore class, but working hard at this same achievement. One of the questions I asked them is, were there any barriers to what they're doing? And the first thing they mentioned was that they hope we realize, they hope people realize, but I think they meant mostly board members, that there's more to a student than just graduation. So I appreciate that last slide to tell that there's always more to the story than what you can say with data. But having said that, credit deficiency list decreased by 63%. That has to be good because it's credit deficiency and it decreased, but I hate to admit I don't know what a percent means, but I don't know what that means. Was that since when? Like,
yeah,
tell me more
question.
about that.
So if you're going to ask me raw numbers, I can't give them to you because I didn't write them down, but I did do the math, and I actually had it, no, I'm kidding, I didn't have to have it checked, but it was, so we started last year, and every quarter we have meetings with all of the cohorts to understand how things are going. And one of the things that they do is they put on that common sheet, the last couple of pages are the numbers of students who are struggling for whatever reason. And so with the core 40, it's easy to do the math. You've got to have 10 credits per year. They've got to be the right credits, but you got to accrue 10 per year, so 5 per semester. And anybody who is not on pace, so if you don't meet that 5 per semester, 10 per year, you go on the credit deficient list because now there's something impeding your progress to graduation. And so if I look back at the very first time we had our quarterly meetings with the cohorts and they put together those common sheets, I can see how many students were initially on there. And then I can see over the course of last year and the course of this year, how many students have cycled on and cycled off, and we're down 63% for the senior cohort.
So it's based on what it showed on the common sheet after the first quarter of last year when the cohort started?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, my question was actually pretty close to Mr. Nallen's. To kind of add to that, one of the things that was shown to us was an actual comment sheet. And so kind of something from us is there a way that we could see the up and coming cohort comment sheets, whether it be annually or semester? I know you guys meet quarterly, but sometimes those numbers are a little raw. But it's something that Mr. Nall and I were discussing with the cohort that we met with, that they'd like us to see some of that stuff, give us a better perspective.
They thought it would be helpful for the board to periodically see a comment sheet with the names wiped out.
So that's a different request, and I feel better about that. With there's a lot of sensitive student data on there, obviously, right. And without the student data, well, the sensitive parts anyway, I do feel comfortable looking at finding a way to get those. Yeah.
I have a question that may have a few different answers, but I'm curious. So obviously the cohort model is working. It's very successful. And clearly you're having additional adults meeting one-on-one more consistently with students, which is the obvious answer of why it would be successful. But what, and this may be a question for you guys more directly, what do you think the big contributors are? Is it that communication that's more consistent? Is it identifying the need for support services? Is it collaboration with iGrad? I mean, what are your biggest takeaways when working with your cohort?
Wow, so I can answer that in a word, and it's focus. And it really is, it's so, every week they meet as a group, and they sit down and they talk about who needs help, what kind, and how can we get it to them. And I mean, that is literally the focus of the meeting. And so, when you're a counselor on a 9th grade team and you're worried about 9th graders, and specifically 9th graders who are credit deficient, or 10th graders, 11th graders, I'm focusing on that group of students. In a traditional high school setting, you don't necessarily get that. You get a counselor who's got some 9th graders, some 10th graders, 11th graders, 12th graders. They're all dealing with different things, and they're different stages of their high school career, and it requires a different kind of answer. And so when you're able to group them together as a grade level and then talk about the collaboration with all of so as a part of that focus, we're communicating with outside agencies as a way to get folks help that they need, whatever that help may be. And so my answer to that is focus.
And I'm just going to add to that, because I said in the same 2 cohort meetings this morning that Mr. Edwards did, and I wrote down on my sheet of paper this morning, I'm going to share that with you now. It centers the student in the conversation. So we oftentimes like to look at our systems, we like to look at departments and what's happening in those departments. This puts a specific group of students who are struggling to be successful at the center of the conversation, and then says, what problems do we need to solve to get there? They're spending nearly every minute of every day working with specific names. Sometimes they look across their whole group when they get a minute to, or when I ask questions during their cohort meetings about, okay, what's happening across this group that we might be able to make some changes or address it from a resource perspective. But it's given us an opportunity when we leave those to sit down and look at our notes and say, okay, what kinds of things, when they are dealing with these things at an individual student level, what can we talk about at the next level up, and the next level up from that? And then I told them before, my next hope for them is we start swimming upstream just 1 grade level at a time. And so if you're looking at your incoming 8th graders that are going to be freshmen right now, what could we be doing today and last month and the month before that with those 8th graders? It centers the student in the conversation about success.
Yeah, I mean, the North team was very gracious in allowing me to sit in on their team meeting, and it's clear that they truly know their students. So I think that it's having a tremendous impact, and I thank you all for what you're doing. Do you have something to do?
I do. I don't have a question, but I want to respond to Ms. Lloyd's question, because one of the things that I was really, really impressed with the meeting, they identified needs for students, but before they left the meeting, they had it on their notes who was going to follow up on which need. So it wasn't just talking about kids' needs, but it was making sure someone was going to act on each thing they identified.
Just a couple questions. The improvement is amazing and it's appreciated. I think, what is an achievable world-class goal? It's okay not to say 100% because I understand.
Are you talking about in terms of a number?
Mm-hmm. Achievable world-class goal.
So I'm going to answer your question without answering your question. And then if you're like, that's not what I'm looking for, then I'll answer it again. I think I like to talk in terms of sports analogies sometimes because folks like sports and they watch sports and they get it. I just remember a few years ago when Purdue just they did not have a very good basketball team. And so a couple years ago, they had a really good basketball team. And so I think folks get it when we talk about sports teams, how you can be up sometimes and how you can be down sometimes because the athletes aren't the same. And so when we start to talk about students and can we reach this number, it's the same thing in terms of everybody's individual potential. And so trying to say that we can always reach this number is hard to say. Because it's not the same group of kids. Now, if we had the same group of kids year in, year out, or they all had the same ability, then we could probably get a little bit closer to a number. So it's hard to say, but I think we can stay in that window. But that's not what you're looking for, is it? I think we can stay in that window between 80, 88, 89 to 90, 92 fairly consistently, and then some years we'll have great years and break above that.
And then last question, new diploma starts with incoming freshmen next year. Is that
sure does.
True? How do we think that will impact graduation rates for those kids in 4 years?
That's a good question. And can I ask you to ask it again in the context of this next?
I'm 0 for 2. Yes, of course.
No, you're not. You're not. It's a great question. But I think there are some things here that will come to light that will be like, oh, okay, I understand the answer a little bit better.
I understand we're still learning a lot, so it's fair.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Logan, I know you just texted me. I am texting with him just because I think it's hard for Logan to hear at times, but is there anything you wanted to ask or weigh in on this topic?
No, I'm good on this topic. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we have new diploma requirements.
Next is the new diploma requirements. Okay, and so I'm gonna start by giving an overview. So next slide, please. And I think it's, the first important thing that needs to be pointed out is that starting with the class of 2029, the current 8th grade class, all students will be required to earn the new diploma, the new Indiana diploma by meeting new graduation requirements. And it's also important to note that the requirements are set by the state. So all schools issuing an Indiana diploma must meet these requirements. And the schools and districts may offer different courses that meet those requirements, but we don't get a say in the structure of the new diploma. So I think that's really important and a little bit critical to point out. So everybody must earn the base diploma. That's another thing that is important. But there are options of adding on what are called seals. And seals are earned through specific coursework, academic performance, attendance, and then different seals have different requirements. Next slide. I love this slide. I love it. You can almost feel the anticipation looking at it. So the stage is set, literally, like there are flowers on the stage. There's, I think Mr. Clark's standing on that stage. There are some chairs in the background. The crowd is gathered. The band is waiting. The band director is waiting for his cue. Everybody, they're ready. And so this is my way of saying we're in the same place. We're ready. There are a lot of things flying at us, and there are a lot of new requirements, but we've done a lot of work, and I feel like we're ready. Next slide. So this is a kind of a timeline. and I'd like to go through it and kind of talk about what we did when we found out and kind of where we find ourselves right now. So in summer, around August, is when we found out, or when we started to pick up some steam here. We received the second iteration of the new diploma, and the first iteration we had received was not a non-starter. And so this one was better. It was a vast improvement over the first draft. So then starting in September, what we did, or what I did rather, was put together some secondary administrators. It was all of the building administrators and the department chairs, because they were critical. Their voices were critical in this process as well. And we met on a weekly basis. CEA was invited to those meetings, and CEA attended those meetings and participated. So the goal, though, really was to start to understand the difference in the requirements and what the implications could be. So I mentioned the department chairs earlier. We heard from the department chairs. They put together presentations based on their vantage point. So if I was the English department chair, I was looking at the new English requirements and trying to understand how it was going to impact my department, how it was going to impact students, and that is kind of the update or the report that we received. And we asked all of the core departments to do that. We asked all of the related arts departments to do that. So we heard from a lot of folks about the new diploma. And so we we're trying to figure out how the transition was most likely going to affect us. And I also sat in a mapping exercise, actually was here in this building, and really what we did was put all these posters on the wall, and we looked at what a ninth grade student would have to take to earn the base diploma, what a ninth grade student would have to take to earn each of the seals. And what that did was that gave us some understanding of what our limitations were and what are some of the things that we needed to do to make sure that we were ready to go for students on day one next year. So it was very helpful in terms of putting together a support structure. We got state board approval in December, and then right now we are in the midst of staffing, and so we're looking at how we're going to staff our buildings based on these new requirements and then what we see students signing up for as a result. April 2nd, it was signed into law, and so now really it's just the countdown to implementation. Next slide. Okay. If you are looking at this, what you see on the left-hand side is the Core 40, so that's right now. And then what you see on the right-hand side is the new diploma, so that is next fall. Core 40 is simple, again, in terms of understanding the structure. There's 40 credits that you have to earn. With the new one, there are 42, so there are fewer options. There are more options given on the right-hand side with the new diploma. There is the base diploma, which is highlighted up there, and then each of the things under there, the seals, that is a different version of the base diploma. So if you're counting, there are 7 different versions, at least 7 different versions of the diploma up there. What I don't have listed on the right-hand side is the alternate diploma. That will still be in play, so there will be at least 8 different versions of a diploma that a student could earn. You also see the language on the left is not consistent with some of the language on the right. So we will start to phase out Core 40 language, and we'll start referring to the new diploma. It's also called the base diploma. And then we'll also start talking about seals. So we're gonna have to get some new vocabulary around the new diploma as well. Next slide. Okay, so you have at your seat a 2-pager. It looks like this. This is this slide. Okay, so what you see up there now, those are the requirements for the new diploma. But this one at your seat is probably a heck of a lot easier to read. And then it also compares it to the Core 40 on the left-hand side. So I wanted to take a minute to look at this and talk about how it's a little bit different. Again, I talked about Core 40 is 40 credits and 42 for the new diploma. And if you look, you can see that on your sheet, English stayed at 8, Math increased from 6 credits to 7. Science increased from 6 to 7. Social studies decreased from 6 to 5. And PE health decreased from 3 to 2. And there's a total of 11 electives with the core 40. With the new diploma, there are 12. So if we really zoom in, what you see is in the English department. I'm going to try to stay out of the weeds because it'd be really easy to talk about, again, the weeds. So if you look at English, what you see is you see there are 2 credits in English 9, 5 additional English credits, and then a credit in communication-focused course. So you have to take a communications course. That is a new requirement. Although it's a new requirement, it's not a new course. So we have courses that will meet that requirement for our students. Math, same thing. It increased from 6 credits to 7. Personal finance is now a requirement. And although it is a requirement, again, it is not a new course. It is a course that has been on the books for us for quite some time. And so, again, we have teachers who can teach that to our students, and they will be able to meet that requirement. Science, technology, and engineering, that was the first thing that I noticed, is that it's not just science. They call it science, technology, and engineering. So that increased from 6 credits to 7. So you have to take the 2 credits in biology. And then the new one is you have to take a computer science class. So that becomes a requirement. Again, it was on the books, not a new class, but it is a new requirement. And then they use some language down there at the bottom where it says 2 STEM-focused credits. And so that's interesting because when you start to look at the list of required classes, there are a lot of classes that fall under STEM-focused that aren't necessarily a science class per se. And so there are a lot of classes on that list that we offer, some through CTE, some are advanced science courses. Biomed, for example, would be one that would meet the science, technology, and engineering requirement. So we're prepared to offer those classes, but now they are requirements. And so the thing about that is now we have students who are taking those classes, and where they're taking those classes, maybe they aren't taking some of the other ones that we had. And so that is going to require some analysis. When you look at social studies decreased. So you had to take 6 credits in social studies. And so with the core 40, you had to take a U.S. history, you had to take a world history, you had to take government, you had to take econ. Now there's a U.S. history, there's a world history, and you have to take government. Econ is no longer a required course. Which the social studies department folks had a lot to say about, and actually a lot of people had a lot to say about it. But I want to highlight where it says 2 credits, world perspectives, it's highlighted under social studies, and that's because there's some flexibility there. So if I'm a world language student and I am taking level 3 and or above, I can actually get social studies credit for taking a world language class. So again, there are some places where the state has built in some flexibility. And then when you look at PE health, phys ed, under core 40, you had to have 2 sections or 2 semesters of PE. Now you have to have 1. So that decreased. Preparing for college and careers, PCC, again, that is something that we offer through our C4, Career Tech Ed, and we are prepared to offer that to every student because it is now a requirement. Next slide. Okay, the second sheet of paper that you have talks about the readiness seals. And that's what this slide talks about. It talks about the seals. So we're going to make a shift from talking about honors diplomas, academic honors, tech honors, to talking about honors seals. So the seals, again, are earned in addition to your base diploma. So everybody has to earn the base, and then you can add on a seal. The seals are meant to recognize achievement beyond just the base diploma and intended to give students some currency. and I'll explain that here in just a minute. The SEALs are organized around the 3 E's. So that would be things that you think about students doing after they leave high school. So they usually enroll in an institution of higher learning, they go directly into employment, or they enlist. And so those are the 3 E's, and that is how the SEALs are arranged. You can get an honors enrollment seal, honors employment seal, an honors enlistment and service seal, and then you can go next level and get an honors plus seal. Again, the SEALs are, the intent is for students to walk away with currency. So I am meeting post-secondary readiness at a very high level if I get the honors plus seal. If you look at the honors seal, it is very comparable to what we now call the academic honors diploma. So students won't feel much difference in pursuing an academic honors diploma, in pursuing an honors seal as they did pursuing the academic honors. It's virtually the same. But when you step up to the honors plus seal, it becomes more rigorous. And so just a few things that I wanted to point out. The employment honors requires 150 hours of work-based learning, and it has an attendance goal. The Honors Plus requires 650 hours of work-based learning. And so those are some pretty high hurdles to clear. And so that is those are some of the things that we spent time talking about when we were meeting to look at readiness seals. How are we going to get kids readiness seals, or how are we going to get students ready for readiness seals? I think one of the things that we're probably concerned about is capacity. You heard me in my last presentation say about 50% of our student body is going to get an honors diploma of some kind. So when we think about students pursuing the Honors Plus seal, that's a lot of students who need a 150 hour, or if you're doing the Honors Plus in employment, that's a lot of students who need a 650 hour work experience. And so that is one of the concerns that we have, is how do we meet this capacity? We don't know what that's going to look like yet in terms of the number of students who are going to pursue, but if we're looking at past practice or how students have graduated with us before, it gives us pause. And so we've got some things to kind of figure out on that. So our expectation is for every student to earn a seal. That's our expectation. And it's lofty, and we'll say that, right out of the gate, it's lofty. But we're going to treat every student as though they can earn a seal from day one. And then, if they fall out of that pathway, you don't necessarily have to earn a seal. Well, that's not necessarily. You don't have to earn a seal. So, next slide. A readiness seal is not required for graduation. So if they don't earn the readiness seal, they still have to complete the pathway. And the thing that I want to emphasize to everybody is that we do that right now. We do that right now. We talk about these 3 buckets that students have to earn in order to be able to graduate. Next slide. And those are the 3 buckets. So number 1, you have to earn a diploma. That's the first thing you have to do in order to graduate. The second thing that you have to do is you have to learn and demonstrate employability skills. And if you look, there are 3 ways to do that. There's the work-based learning, there's a service-based learning, and there's a project-based learning. All students in BCSC demonstrate employability skills by completing a senior project. So we've got everybody covered there. Bucket number 3, complete a post-secondary readiness competency. And there are a lot of ways you can do this. You can get your honors seal, right? You can score 1250 on the SAT, which is 560 math, 590 writing. You can score 26 on the ACT. You can get your CTE concentrator. That's principles 1 and 2, and then a capstone. You can take the ASVAB. You got to score 31 on the ASVAB. You can get this industry recognized credential. We give away, we don't give away, I'm sorry. Students have the opportunity to earn 12 of those through our C4 courses. And then dual credit. You can do dual credit. You have to have 6 verifiable transcripted college credits, or you can do AP, 4 credits AP and take the AP test. Or you can do a mix of dual credit and AP. You can earn 3 dual credits and 2 AP and take the test. So there are a variety of ways that we can get students a post-secondary readiness competency. And if you meet those 3, you still graduate, and you don't have to have a seal. But they're there for folks who want to work through them. So we can skip the next 2 slides, but let me tell you why first. These are exactly what you have as a handout in front of you. So I wasn't going to originally put the handout in front of you, Dr. Phillips, and I think it'd be a good idea if we gave them the 2-page printout. And so you have that 2-page printout, and so we could skip those. This is pretty cool, and it's lofty, but it's cool. The first thing I want to do, though, is apologize if I've offended anybody because your logo's too small or it's not in the right order. When I did that, I was just trying to make them fit. So full disclosure. Okay, so the governor just announced 2 weeks ago, in partnership with these 7 institutions, if you achieve, if you earn your Honors Plus enrollment seal, you are auto-accepted into any one of those universities. So when they say we want you to leave with currency, that is what they mean. The seals give you currency. There's this further proof that you're ready to do something or that you've worked hard to achieve something. And so on the other side of it, you get to auto-enroll in one of those 7 institutions. And there are benefits for Employment Honors Plus and Enlistment in Service Plus, but the most glaring, again, is auto-enrolled into one of those 7 institutions. So I wanted to bring your attention to that. But anyway, that is an overview of what's going on with the new diploma. And I'm sure you have questions, and in some cases, I may have great answers. Please.
I'll start it off. One of the big things for me is on the enlistment honors seal is JROTC. I know we don't have a program. I know it's not a requirement because there's another requirement that could be completed. Is that something that we're looking to explore? I spoke with Dr. Parsons about that last week, and it's kind of iffy. I do know that there are ones in the area, so I don't know if we could partner kind of like the C4 program. I do know that Evansville specifically, as big of a program as it is, they have one specific JROTC program for Evansville only, so I didn't know, it could be easy Columbus only as well. But
yep, so that's a great question, and I have kind of an answer. We are exploring a potential partnership, but because it's potential and because it's new, I've been asked not to identify anything by name, but yes, we recognize that as a need. There's an area partner who understands it as a need, and we are looking to partner in order to be able to offer JROTC to our students. Is that fair, Dr. Phillips?
Yes, and I'll just add that there's a balance to be struck between meeting student demand for programs and then putting out programs and trying to recruit students into them. And this is just not one in the last decade or so that we've had a whole bunch of students come and say, hey, if we had this opportunity to be in JROTC, we would love it, we'd take advantage of it, and we'd stay there for 4 years. So we want to make sure we're not putting a program out there, putting resources behind it, and then struggle for 4 years to find enough kids. It's that balance between we have the demand and then the resources to offer the program.
question?
I have a couple of curriculum questions. I have many, but I'm going to limit it. So you might have said this, the communication-focused course, you mean that we don't need a new course because it's already incorporated in our English courses? Like, can you do curriculum for English 9, English 10, whatever, that it includes that, or?
So the answer to that question is we have courses that meet the requirements. And so when I'm looking at the list of approved courses that would count toward communications, we've got journalism, digital media, let's see, mass media, radio and TV, VisCom, visual communications. So we have everything that I just read off are courses that we offer. And so we have courses that will meet those needs, but to answer your question, we are also looking at reinstating just communications, speech class.
So possibly adding a course that some students would take, but it wouldn't be everybody has to take it, is that?
That is right. That's correct. There's some flexibility in how they'll be able to meet that credit.
And it's students that take, I don't know what we call the courses, but if they're doing newspaper and yearbook, is that considered?
Yes.
Okay.
Good question.
And personal finance, I think right now our personal finance course is through the business department.
That's complicated too. It's a good question. And yes, it is through the business department, but also it falls under where did I say that falls? It falls under one of the core departments also. And so we can use licensure from that department to teach those courses.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm wondering if there's some connection to economics, to an economics class. Can it be part of an economics class?
And so you're hitting like you're on the nose. So when we looked at how we were going to be impacted, personal finance comes under math. When we were looking at how we were going to be impacted in the social studies department, because econ isn't a necessary thing anymore for the incoming freshman class, it was like, okay, well, how can these folks, how can they help us with these new requirements? And so one of the licenses that we can use to teach personal finance is an econ license, and those are very closely related, and so those folks will feel at home teaching those courses. I will say though that we've got to phase this in, so we will still have sophomores, juniors, and seniors next year that do need to meet the econ requirement for their core 40, and it will move through like a wave, and then in 4 years we won't have that requirement anymore.
And you helped somewhat, my understanding, under science when it says 2 STEM-focused courses.
Yep.
Those can be science courses, but they could also be, really it's to give you the freedom of counting and the engineering courses as meeting that requirement. Okay.
Yes, and it is a very long list of courses that would meet that requirement. Networking, cybersecurity, computer integrated manufacturing, and these are all courses we offer. Principles of engineering, civil engineering and architecture, in animal sciences, like their plant and soil science, like their website, database development, software development. There are a lot of courses that would meet that
So I
standard.
think my question is, when I first read it, my reaction was, well, the S in STEM means science, so what science course would not meet that? But it's really to go beyond what's in the science department, could still meet it. Is that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my last question is, under employment and enlistment, one of the requirements is, you mentioned the attendance goal. Do we know how high of a goal that is? And is it a concern that freshmen don't quite understand that they might burn a bridge their freshman year in terms of attendance that they can't recover?
I don't know that I've seen it written what that goal is. I would bet it's 95%, but I don't know that I've seen it written. And so there are a lot of missing pieces to this puzzle that we're waiting on, and that is not me being critical. I understand that the folks at the state are going 100 miles an hour and they'll get it to us when they can, but I don't know that I've seen that.
That may be one more thing we drop in the laps of our cohort teams, I think.
So I'm glad you brought that up. The cohort teams do talk about attendance. It's one of their metrics that they measure and pay attention to, and they know who is meeting the standard of 95 and above. They know who's chronically chronically absent, and they know who's in between. And so, yes, that is something that they pay attention to and definitely chase.
So I appreciate this update. I know it's kind of been a moving target for quite a while. Yep. And I also appreciate the challenge that we will have, I guess, that the staffing impact isn't next year. It's as we roll this out, it's going to affect staffing different ways.
Yes, and it's very, we like to say there are complexities that we're going to have to deal with in the coming years as it rolls. Yep.
Yeah, to that point, Dale, I mean, it's not just staffing, but you're 5% more credits required now. So how many kids that are struggling to get to 40 today will have that much of a harder time getting to 42, which means the cohort teams are going to have to work that much harder to ensure that those kids are on track their freshman year. Right, so it's going to have to happen early because it's hard to catch all that up at the end.
Yeah, so on that note, next year the Wheeldon household will have a graduating senior and an incoming freshman. So I just thought I understood the diploma my oldest is going to get, and now I need to relearn this with my son, which will be fun for all of us. Mr. Parsons, Dr. Parsons, I don't know if you're still there, but I'll need some help.
We're going to be right there to help you.
So what will we do for parents of incoming freshmen so that they can, because we've already signed up for classes, this may or may not change what any student would like to take now knowing that the line has moved a little bit.
That's a great question. And so two things. We have sent folks to the middle schools to talk about what those requirements are in the, while folks were signing up for classes. And so I know that has happened. But the other piece of it is when you're a freshman, you're pretty much scripted. You're pretty much locked into what you're going to take, and it's not going to waver a whole lot outside of that. And so the things that you're going to start to take to fulfill your requirements are going to happen later in high school. So there are these like a base within the base diploma that everybody has to achieve, and so we'll set folks on that path their freshman year, and then yes, we'll be able to roll out the other stuff as they need it.
And this might be for Mr. Heckle or Mr. Edwards, but will any of our trades-related C4 programs be considered as STEM credits, like welding, drafting, obviously technically based?
The answer to that question is I believe so, and I've got the list here in front of me, and it's an impressive list. So I've got to believe that the answer is yes.
Good. Wow, it's the Mr. Edwards night. Our next topic, if we don't have any other questions, is CSA New Tech.
And
we have some people in the back from CSA New Tech. Yep, I see
Mr.
the hands.
Giebel's coming up here to join me.
To refer to them.
And I said to him, Mr. Giebel, I am happy to give this presentation. And he said, he's a very proud CSA principal. And so I'm going to stand in the wings, and if he needs me, he's going to give me a nod.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Edwards, and thank you to the members of the school board for taking some time to listen to our request regarding a potential amendment to the CSA New Tech school profile. And I'd probably not be a big fan, or my faculty wouldn't be a big fan if I didn't say thank you guys for sticking around and showing support as we consider this change. So your consideration of this is greatly appreciated, and it reflects your commitment to supporting the continued growth and success of CSA New Tech. CSA New Tech is a project-based learning magnet program that's been part of our community since 2008. It was established under the leadership of then Director of Secondary Education, Bill Jensen, with a strong support from local business partners and higher education institutions. From the very beginning, CSA New Tech has been grounded in innovation. It was part of the nation's first K-12 pathway built around the New Tech network model. That model puts project-based learning, or PBL, at the core of everything we do. PBL is more than just an instructional framework. It's an approach that invites students to tackle real-world, community-oriented challenges and apply what they're learning in meaningful, hands-on ways. At its core, PBL is rooted in the belief that students learn best when they're actively engaged in their learning, working together on projects that push their thinking, spark creativity, and develop the kinds of skills they'll need well beyond the classroom. CSA New Tech was built on this foundation and continues to be what makes our school so special. When CSA was launched, the goal was to create a unique learning pathway for students at Columbus North and Columbus East. At the onset, the reporting requirements and the logistics made it an advantage to start this as a program rather than a standalone school. While right now CSA functions a lot like a school, it is technically still a program. Students remain enrolled in their home school at either Columbus North or Columbus East. For example, right now, of our 344 currently enrolled students at CSA New Tech, 178 of them are from Columbus North and 167 are from Columbus East. If the state looks at them, they are an East student or a North student. This structure was intentional for two big reasons when we started. The first is that CSA was new to the community and offered a very different learning model. So by tying it to North and East, we ensured that we could make it work and solidify its place in the community while we were still growing and figuring it out. The second piece is it also allowed us to launch this program without the significant expense of duplicating extracurricular programs or facilities. North students could still join band or play football at Columbus North. East students could participate in choir or gymnastics at East. And so they were able to do that while we still figured out what PBL looked like in our community. By setting up CSA this way, we were able to offer that project-based learning experience while preserving access to those traditional programs, courses, and extracurriculars that our students were used to. This may have been a little bit more difficult if CSA had its own school number back then. So as we look ahead to the future at CSA New Tech, I think it's time to establish CSA New Tech as a standalone school rather than continuing as a program shared by East and North. This shift aligns with our original vision and strengthens our ability to serve students with more intention and clarity. First and foremost, this change reinforces CSA's distinct educational identity. CSA was designed as an innovative, revolutionary project-based learning pathway, and formalizing our status as a school helps us highlight that vision, not as an extension of East or North, but as something that is uniquely its own. This transition also boosts our identity and recognition. It gives us an opportunity to celebrate our students and our culture in ways that align with our values and vision, while also expanding our presence in the community and beyond. Additionally, we benefit from the independent data and reporting. So by establishing CSA New Tech as its own entity, we can set clear goals and evaluate progress using CSA-specific data and metrics. This allows us to make data-driven decisions that are tailored directly to our students' needs. As a standalone school, it also improves our data integrity. With a clear separation from East and North in Power School, we can more easily access student records, and reporting those records to the state becomes much more straightforward, reducing the complexity and increasing the accuracy of our reports. Lastly, it's important to note that under IHSAA bylaws and Indiana codes, CSA students would still have full access to the extracurricular and athletic opportunities that they have now at East or North. So it essentially ensures that we don't lose any of the opportunities that matter to our students. We simply clarify and strengthen what CSA New Tech already represents. In short, this transition preserves what works well and strengthens what makes CSA New Tech unique. This change addresses the reporting and data challenges we faced, offering a solution that enhances our ability to promote our revolutionary pathway for education. It positions us for continued success and growth, ensuring that CSA New Tech remains a transformative educational experience. The future is bright, and this step brings us closer to our full potential.
So I'm going to start with you've given us the why now, why not now? What are the downsides of separating CSA New Tech as a different school?
it's probably more work for me, but I think truly there's not a lot of downside. I think we get to continue to do what we've been doing while allowing us to kind of pull that information separately. So one of the big challenges we've faced in the past year is that because of new reporting requirements and how it pulls data from PowerSchool, all of our classes are actually housed at Columbus North. So when we go into PowerSchool, we have to search for our kids through an alt building code, and North has to search through their kids while containing all of our students, both East and North. So by moving to our own school, we would have a PowerSchool system that was dedicated to just our students. And so when we go and have those same cohort type meetings and we talk about student success and who's failing and who's not, ultimately we'd be able to do that without having to dig through the other 2,300 students at North, and we'd be able to pull our records right directly from there.
So I can see you have faculty support because they're back there. Have you talked about this with the students, the current students, and what has been their reaction?
Yeah, we've had some informal conversations with students, and we've put some of this out with Parent Square as we kind of explored this opportunity and asked for their feedback. Students are generally pretty excited about it. There's certainly some that have questions about, like, can I still play sports? Can I still do those things? Can I still, if you don't have, you know, AP computer science at your school, can I still go and take that at my home school? And when we assure them that that part doesn't change, I think they're all in. I also know that we have some seniors right now who are kind of jealous of the fact that they will get an Eastern North diploma, but next year seniors would get a CSA New Tech diploma. So I think in general the reaction has been very positive around the conversations we've had with staff and students and families.
And I think you just answered my other question. You mentioned extracurricular, but if there's courses that are offered at East or North but not at CSA New Tech, they can.
Yeah, that is correct. So we would still allow those courses if it's something that we can't offer, don't offer. Band, for example, we're not going to start a band next year at CSA New Tech. They will still be able to travel to their home school.
So with the addition of creating New Tech as a standalone school, will it be adopting its own cohort model, and what would that look like if that was the case?
So I think that we already kind of have adopted that cohort model just without the official label. I mean, there's a difference. Like, we have 400, students maximum, so we're not going to have a freshman cohort, a sophomore. We'll have a CSA New Tech cohort. And quite frankly, I think part of that conversation, we've been doing that individual deep dive with students for a long time. With who we are as a school, I think we've been able to say, okay, we've got 360 kids. We can get down and know every single one of them, understand what their needs are, and if they're struggling, put them in contact with the right agencies or the right supports to be able to graduate. So I think yes, we will have that structure. It will look a little different at our school than it does at North or East, but we absolutely will work on that same model. You want to jump in?
Yeah, so when we were introducing the cohort model and talking about why it would work here, I referenced CSA New Tech. I talked about how they were small and we needed to make our high schools smaller because they were so big, and we were looking at things that CSA New Tech, what were they doing? Where was the magic there? So they very much do some of the things that the cohort models are doing in the bigger high schools.
Josh, to that point, can you, I know that your building decided to repurpose a position recently. Can you speak to that change for that posting that went out just last month?
Yeah, so we, going into this school year, we had a math position open that we were not able to fill. We didn't find a candidate that we thought would add value at that time. And so we had that open position this entire year. Looking at that position, we decided going into next year that we would repurpose that position as an academic coach, to add one more member to our cohort team to look at the data with us to help provide supports for students. And so, we didn't add an academic coach, we repurposed our math position as an academic coach because we were able to make the math numbers work with our current staff. So we're really excited about having an academic coach because the last couple of years we've been doing some of that work. Now having another person on that team is just going to add to the ability to reach more students for sure.
And I think it's implied, but where you're not asking for money tonight because this is budget neutral. This decision is budget neutral. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And I'll just add one more element to I think this, at least my brain at the beginning of the school year went to this as a possibility because of the lack of clarity around the accountability systems we have in place. Each of the 4 cohorts from each of the high schools, those 8 teams have to take out the CSA students and move them over here every time they report and say, okay, well, these are CSA students, and so their numbers look this way. Here's what our numbers look like. And ultimately, when those graduation rates are published in the paper and we celebrate them, those show up as North and East students. Now that accountability system will be clear that those are CSA New Tech students and their graduation rate is their graduation rate, as well as the other metrics that come along with being your own school member.
The things that you've put up here are very high level, intangible on paper right now. Do you have anything tangible that proves why this is the best option moving forward, such as what are your improvements to projected attendance, your projected graduation rate, your projected classes that you offer on the CSA New Tech campus versus how much usage of North and East you'll have? So it says program, now we're going to make it a high school. So what is the end result? What should we expect to see if we were to commit to this from a performance standpoint for the school?
None of those things change. None of those things change in this model. The academic offerings, the opportunities for students stay exactly as they are today.
So the only advantage is the data management, separating out the data?
I'd say if you're going to put them in 2 categories, the data management that the whole team is dealing with, including our technology department, but then also from a branding and recruitment perspective for New Tech.
The only thing I have at a branding issue is last year we sat here and watched the top 10 at East, and there was a kid that didn't use the East logo, they used the New Tech logo. So the branding works when it's needed and when it's desired. I'm struggling to see, I mean, if it's a brand and an identity and all that, and it's not going to result in improved educational outcome, I'm struggling to see where it's an advantage.
I guess we could get our entire technology department to add some context to the work that they have to do, because I don't have a number as far as the number of hours or, kind of the amount of technical hoops that are being jumped through at the state level, or at the district level, as well as the fact that North's guidance department has to do a whole lot of work. We don't have all of that quantified because there is no downside. So there used to be a downside in that if you did this, kids could not participate in extracurriculars and co-curriculars. State changed that actually a long time ago, but after New Tech was established, the state changed that. So it was probably even in the summer when we started looking at it and saying, okay, what are the downsides? What if we did this? What would happen that would take opportunities away from students? Couldn't come up with a single one, and then had this long list of all of the bureaucratic and the time, the logistical work that has to be done more at North than at East, but also at New Tech, and then in our technology department. It became a pretty clear.
It'd be good to have an estimate of that. That way we understand what, because right now, if we just change this, I don't see tangible return on investment in any way, shape, or form. It would be good if you have some data that says, we're having to spend 432 hours a semester doing data analysis because of this. We can put a dollar next to that and show that it's an improvement. that is then more time that the counselors can spend with kids versus doing data. And so it also is another thing that helps support things like the whole LHP work that was being done that ties back to your request for a data analyst person, that this might be yet another way that we can do data analysis improvements in the future that help reduce cost. And so that's just, again, showing the return on investment for that person as well.
We can do that if you like, but there is literally no investment. There's no additional investment in
Jason,
this change.
I can speak to that a little bit from a different perspective, and this predates our, I think cohorts really brought this to a head, but CSA started in 2008, is that?
Yes.
And so since then, when I was math department chair here, every time we got reports on state tests, we had to go through and sort through because it did not include students that we had control over in terms of their math. It included CSA students. And they would have to do the same thing. They would get a state report and have to pull out, okay, now let's pull out our students and see how we did. And it really does complicate things. And I mean, when you're looking at initiatives, what you're going to do to improve some of those scores, it depends which students, and some of those students are here and some of those students are here, and yet in the report they're all mixed together. So it's,
and that's all I'm getting at is there's data analysis.
yeah, so I don't know if we ever kept track of how much time that took, but it made the reports way less efficient and useful than they could have been.
Yep.
The point is it's less.
So to say that, I think this is a win for East, North, and CSA New Tech. But the other part, the branding from the student perspective, I think it will mean something to CSA students that this is their high school. This isn't just where they take classes and they're really officially at East or North, but this is their high school.
I don't know if this is helpful, but there's like 3 components that we mainly look at. One is the state takes our data every year now, and as of last year, we couldn't do any modifications to it. So we had to put CSA under Columbus North, which resulted in 30,000 errors in terms of courses and teachers and students matching everything. So that's a small component, but the bigger one is the data piece. So North counselors, there's things built into the system to allow them to schedule students easily. They can't use it because New Tech is within their SIS in their system, and that creates boundaries. And then what Dale just said about anytime we look at data, we have so many exclusions and things we have to take out. So quantifying it, anybody working with any data set in any of our systems is adding time to try to figure out, and including New Tech. New Tech has to go in North and in East to even look at attendance rates right now. It's just an immense amount of work on everybody's part to try to make it work.
Thank you. I'd like to give Logan a chance to chime in. I think he was trying to. Thanks, Nick, for helping us understand that.
Yeah, hopefully I'm coming across okay. I guess the question I have is mostly is what have we done to procure the information from parents and or students regarding the diploma offerings? And like the reason I ask this is CSA came out about, I think, 1 year after I graduated, if I recall. And I actually went ahead and texted a lot of my friends, given this news that we got on Saturday, and I've gotten a couple of texts from parents that have actually said that they would consider going to North or East, given the diploma differences, while I've also seen about, I'd say, half the students saying they're excited about a diploma that would say CSA New Tech. So my concern is do we have enough data to know that this wouldn't be destabilizing to the current population? Given that you would be introducing this midway through a lot of folks' high school curriculum, and what information have we received from parents? Because the ask here, I mean, to be frank, is I know there was mentionings of this coming. I believe this was brought to us in the board packet on Thursday. There was a newspaper article on Saturday. I don't feel like I've had enough time to really ask constituents about this to give a good, honest vote. I understand the data integrity, but I really focused on the students and the parents and like have you polled them to see like how they feel in terms of that specific diploma situation? Because that was a big selling point back in the 2008 eras. You still get a North or an East diploma.
So when you say differences in diploma, are you literally talking about whether it says North or East or CSA?
Yeah, when they, because they get to graduate either North or East, but they also get to participate in the graduation ceremonies, which is a big deal as well for many of them, because they do go to North and East and or participate in North or East athletics.
Mr. Giebel, you put this out in your newsletter 2 weeks ago, is that right? Did you receive any feedback at this point in time?
Yeah, I did not receive any calls or responses to that newsletter. Can't promise they all read it closely, but I didn't get any of those. The other thing is, you know, on a given year, the number of students who would participate at our graduation ceremony and at East or North is probably under 10. I think East, we have 4 kids right now who have indicated that they plan to walk at both. And then North is probably similar. I don't have that list in front of me, but it's usually a pretty small number, and that's generally athletes that end up deciding they want to walk at both. So it's generally a pretty small number of students who take advantage of both ceremonies. So it's not a huge number of our class that would do that.
And board members, there's nothing magic about a requirement on an approval for this evening. I think we technically have until the end of August. We do not in any way want to wait to the end of August because fall athletics will have started by that point in time. But it could be considered next month if in fact you wanted. This was not at all intended to be anything we thought would raise any controversy, but after the newspaper article from last Saturday and then this evening's board meeting, we'll certainly should hear from folks if there are concerns we haven't heard from at this point in time. But we also didn't receive any after the newspaper article hit on Saturday, but it does not need to be. We could pull that one out if you wanted to wait another month. Sorry, New Tech teachers back there supporting tonight. You don't have to come back in May. It's all the way in August 31 to modify your school district accountability system, but like I said, we would want that approval in May at the latest to get everything set up from a system standpoint. Nick actually would love it earlier than that, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next cabinet report is going to be a brief one. You've seen this one already, in some cases, some parts of it twice, but it's just a second reading of the policies that were first posted on March 14th online. First reading was at the board meeting on March 31, and then the second reading this evening is for approval. This one includes these 8 policies up on the screen in front of you now. From wellness starting at A275 down to armed security, which was presented at the last meeting and also related to the additional appropriation hearing for this evening. Happy to take any questions on the second reading of package 4 of the board policy reorganization, if you have any. Okay, Mr. Brenniger. Try to stay quiet while you're talking finance. I'll try not to butt in. I
think the printed agenda says Envision.
The agenda I had, Dr. Bozeman was next, so I wasn't ready.
Presentation and the paper agenda are not in the same order. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Real quickly, Mr. Nowlin, just to answer something you said about the budget. Latest figures we received last week from the Legislative Services Agency, when they calculated in the curricular funding, we were still able to get 2% increase for next year and 2% the following year. That was, we haven't got those numbers in hand, but that's what they're telling us. And when we factor in that 2.4 $2.4 million, $2.4 billion shortfall the state has. I'm thankful that we're getting the 2%. So something Dr. Bozeman and I discussed a lot on Friday, just thankful we're getting anything when other agencies are getting flatlined or cut. So let's look at our first quarter, which again was a great first quarter for BCSC. Revenues for the education fund are up slightly, and that's due to our increase in ADM count from the fall, so that those numbers affected our revenues for the first quarter. The operations fund is down slightly, but that all can be attributed to no interest income for the first quarter of this year, lower interest income for the first quarter of this year. Instead of investing almost all of our money with Trust Indiana, we have put a lot of our money into securities, and it's an 11-month security that we will get an interest payment in June. And so our second quarter, we will catch up with that interest income amount, as well as we will have our first property tax payments at that time. And then operations referendum fund, there is no revenue at this time because that is purely property tax revenue based. So next up, education fund expenditures. Salaries are up at about 6%, and a large part of that is the increase that we had for salaries, the raises we were given. Plus, we had some new positions added when the ESSER funds, those positions were rolled into the education fund. Benefits were up a little bit higher than the salaries, but that's turf went up another 0.5% this year compared to the past years. The state has encouraged us to do that. And then other expenses are up, it looks kind of significant. It's 35%, but that's timing of payments on some of our annual fees that we have. We paid some in March this year that normally has been paid in April in the past. And then as we budgeted, our transfers to the operations fund are down this year compared to years past. In the operations fund, again, salaries up due to increase in salary payments that we were able to offer as part of the budget. Benefits that are about the same. Other expenses, again, similar to the education fund, it's timing of when we made some payments on annual fees. In both the education fund and operations fund, the first quarter, we are well under budgeted amounts for the year, so we're on track there as well. The operating referendum fund expenditures, this is kind of exciting. On the teacher salaries, it's up 6%, and a big part of that is because we've got about 15 more teachers that are getting referendum payments there. One of the big goals of the referendum was maintaining our teacher staff longer periods of time, and we're seeing that result happen, which is a great thing. Staff salaries are up at about the raise amount. Benefits up as well. Safety and security is up significant, but again, that was a timing of a payment. Our payment to the county, we paid the first quarter this year. Last year, we paid it in the second quarter. And then STEM Labs is also up as well. And again, all of these lines are well within the budget expected for the year. Fund cash balances remain very strong. Education fund is down slightly. Again, that was part of our budget goal, was we're reducing that level a little bit. Operations fund is up about $300,000. That will go up again significantly when we get that interest payment. Referendum fund is up a little bit. Our health dental trust fund, as Jason was able to mention earlier, we have added employees into the trust fund, which increases our revenue with the premium amounts. Our expenses for the first quarter of this year are down slightly compared to last year. And then also we did have that premium increase for this year, so that has increased that fund balance. And then our debt service funds are right where we need them to be, up slightly over last year, and then those payments will be made in June. And this is something you've seen several times over the last few years. property tax rate history. BCSC, as you can see, that third dot is in 2021 that goes up to $1. That was when the referendum took effect. And the board and Dr. Phillips over the last few years have worked very hard to make sure we've reduced that tax rate. And as of this year, we're at 99.81 cents, which is well below the state average. When it says location there, that's 10 school corporations near to us. AV is 10 corporations throughout the state with a similar AV size to us, and budget is 10 school corporations with similar size budgets. We are well under all of those comparables. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. And thank you for staying awake this late.
What is the total amount in reserves? It's kind of hard to calculate that.
Total amount what? I'm sorry?
The total amount in reserves. Last time we had a table, and it was a little bit easier to read what it was. It's kind of hard to determine what it is by the graph.
About $23 million between the 5 funds.
And there's two caveats I would encourage you to consider. Take out debt service because that's committed. It cannot grow greater than what limits that are put on it by the DLGF, and include rainy day. And so there's 4.8 million in rainy day that I would add to that. So
yeah, I think it has to have been about 35 million or so roughly when you added them all up. So that's where I was trying to hit with that. And then the other question, so the way it was explained to me is the 9981 includes the referendum, correct?
Correct.
What would it be without that?
I will get back with you on that.
15 cents less.
15 cents?
Thank you.
Okay.
14 and change, 14.9 or so.
1480?
Some 14.8, 14.9.
But I will send you that number tomorrow morning.
That's good enough. I just wanted to get it close. My big thing is I want people to understand that is with the referendum, and with it, we're still way lower. Which we've had a conversation about referendum, and
I have to tell you, one of the first spreadsheets that Dr. Phillips showed me that almost scared me away was his state tax comparison spreadsheet that has all the school districts across the state, all of their tax rates going back to 2004?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it looks like that. That's what it looks like in the graph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening. I'll be brief with the Envision 2030 update this evening. First of all, this slide you're familiar with. The only change on here is Central Middle School, which is for your approval this evening. The rest of the data on the screen is the same as it was last time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, but it is the same as it was before. Central Middle School, a small portion of our Envision work. Central Middle School is Dr. Phillips, 18 years old now, I think. Hard to believe, but it is. Improvements to the Media Center, CSO has worked extensively with Mr. Payne at Central and his staff on making improvements to the Media Center. There's a makerspace in the top left-hand corner of this, a green room or a green screen, podcasts and video recordings and such, technology support spaces at the top. And on the right-hand side will be the wellness area. This is all upstairs at Central Middle School. Office is there for therapists that, again, similar to other buildings we have, they're just kind of everywhere in that building currently. iGrad coach, a shared office, SRO, and a conference room there. A few renderings of the space. This is the circulation desk as you enter as you enter the newly renovated space in Central Middle School, looking at the circulation desk, those spaces I explained for the offices behind. This would be in the northwest corner of the library, looking back towards the entrance. And this is just walking up a little bit further, looking in that same direction. So new furniture throughout, new flooring, and several improvements to improve the circulation of both materials and students in that space. So for your approval tonight, permission to award the bid for Central Middle School at $911,400 to Dunlap Construction. That would bring the total project cost, go back a couple slides here. You see that Central Middle School line, the budget at 1.9, and this would bring the total cost of that project to 1.649400. So under budget allows us some flexibility for some additional furniture changes at Central in the future. And then we're also seeking permission to approve as Mr. Center mentioned, the construction manager as constructor for Mount Healthy Elementary School. Brian is here from CORE. There's Brian. I was going to say he made it the whole time, and I looked and he wasn't there anymore. So Brian is here from CORE Construction. CORE is our recommendation for the CMC for Mount Healthy. They're finishing some projects in Greater Clark schools right now. They have experience with open concept schools in Muncie, and their rates were competitive, and they interviewed well with the team. We're excited to bring them into BCSC and help us there. There were, in your board packet, you'll see details on 4 submissions rather, for the CMC, and our recommendation is to move ahead with CORE Construction for the Mount Healthy project. Reminder of the upcoming dates we have coming up in the next 3 weeks on the screen there. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mount Healthy, just real quick. I'm gonna say is that I'll think it's funny, but other people won't. Are we gonna build the walls? Are we gonna put walls up in the building so we can separate some of the classrooms so that the conversations don't go back and forth?
We are.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is our public comments. I'm not going to go through my spiel because you've all heard it before, and Mr. Cole Bennett spoke earlier during public comments as it was on our school safety appropriation. So thank you, Mr. Bennett, for your comments earlier, but I have no one else on the sheet tonight. Okay, request for approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Wheeldon.
Just before you get started, I want to mention, because we have a board member that is remote, all votes will need to be roll call. So anyway, you'll hear me call everybody's name. Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Wheeldon. First, I have just under old business, a request for approval of the minutes of the March 31st regular school board meeting. Request approval for items 8A.
I move that we approve item 8A, minutes for the regular school board meeting from our last meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Nallen and Mr. Glick. Is there any conversations or comments on that? Nope. Okay. I will abstain from the vote. You'll hear me say that during the roll call, as I was not here on March 31st, last meeting. Okay. Mr. Schultz, do you approve the minutes from the March 31st meeting?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Glick?
Yay.
Mr. Nallen?
Yay.
Mr. Stenner?
Yay.
Mr. Major?
Yeah.
Ms. Lloyd? Thank you. Okay, and I will abstain. Ms. Wheeldon abstains.
Thank you very much. Under new business, there are a couple of notes. First, I'll go through the items under new business, supplemental contracts, field trips, leaves, fundraisers, and claims and payroll are the regular approval items, with claims and payroll representing the tonight's docket for just over $2.9 million. The pre-runs from March also just over $2.9 million. And then the payrolls for both April 4th and April 18th representing just over $7.4 million. The new approval outside of the regular agenda items include the request to separate CSA New Tech as its own school for the district profile amendment. The secondary curricular science material was presented at the last board meeting. Elementary and secondary student handbooks, the policy reorganization package 4 presented earlier, the additional appropriation for the school safety officers and additional school resource officer from the operating referendum fund, and then the 2 Envision 2030 projects that Dr. Bozeman just presented, items K and J, Central Middle School and Mount Healthy. The important note is that we need to separate out item I because it's technically an adjustment to our total board approved budget, and so Mr. Schultz, being remote, cannot participate in that vote. So we'll automatically need to pull that one out when we go through
I had some questions on that one that due to the short time from Thursday to today, didn't get a chance to ask. And I was going to ask if we could table that one till the next meeting to get questions answered.
The additional appropriation?
Yeah,
You'll need to make a
one.
motion and see if it gets approved.
Yep.
So,
I
will.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Schultz.
Are we able to break out E and G from the general consent group here?
Say the letters again.
E is in echo and G is in gamma.
Logan, I think Nikki just told me we have to make a motion to do I, so you might as well do a motion to move all 3.
I don't think you have to motion to get a line item vote. No?
I'm just saying you would make a motion on what the vote is for. If you understand.
No, I'm just asking under the traditional Roberts Rule of Order that E and G be pulled out as separate votes.
So can I make a motion that we approve agenda items 9A through D, F, H, J, and K?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Nallen and Mr. Major. So the motion is to approve items 9A through D, F, H, J, and K. Ms. Lloyd, I'll start with you. Your vote?
Yay.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Stenner?
Aye.
Mr. Nallen?
Aye.
Mr. Glick?
Aye.
Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Ms. Wheeldon also approves, 7-0.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve agenda item, I was going to say 9I, but we want to hold that one? That we approve item 9I as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Nallen. Is there a second for 9I?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Lloyd. I think the motion is to approve agenda item 9I, which was the additional appropriation for school security offices. We'll go roll call. Mr. Schultz?
This is the one I had questions about.
Okay, questions.
Yeah, I do get to ask questions. There's going to be 4 security officers. Is that still correct? 2 per school?
Correct.
And that'll be an average salary of $39,000 for each?
No. The appropriation is for half of the year.
Appropriation is for $155.
Yeah, so the appropriation is for
So that's for half the year.
August through December, because then the board will consider in the fall a budget for 2026 that would include all the positions.
Okay. So did we clear up all the requirements that would allow a safety officer to carry a weapon on campuses? Do we have the policies and procedures all identified? I know that was something we had questions about before.
Yeah, that policy is within your policy packets. I think it was just approved.
So everything is 100% complete.
In terms of policy, yes. In terms of practice and procedure on our side, it's still to be developed in some of those particulars, but in terms of policy, yes.
And have we identified the cost for, I know we have cost here, but do we have cost that includes total yearly salaries, benefits, insurance, annual training, sidearms, armory, supervisor, ammunition, range time, and cost of evaluations for psychological, physical, and performance? Do we know what that total yearly cost is?
Yes, the estimate is that third line on the appropriation of equipment, all included in the equipment.
That's all included in equipment?
Yeah, not every item that you asked about is on there. So a supervisor, for example, we already have people in place to supervise these folks, so there's not an additional cost, but some of the equipment and training, it's all in that equipment cost, yes.
So in the equipment, it was what, 40,000, I think? It's insurance, training, the sidearms, armory, ammunition, range time, and cost of evaluations included in that?
Among many other things, yes.
Okay, the reason why I ask is that was just a line item. Sure. And just so everybody else knows, there was no breakdown of what that was, so that's why I'm asking the questions. So that helps too, because I was curious about what each person's 10,000, if there was 4 and there'd be 10 grand a piece, what the equipment was, so.
Yeah, there's about 31 items on the list that we have that all roll in anywhere from, gear that they're going to wear to safes to NASRO training, et cetera, is all listed on there. So.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the breakdown. It helps me make a vote that I actually can understand.
Absolutely.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments before we go to vote on item 9I? Okay, I will start with Mr. Schultz. The motion that is also seconded is 9I on the agenda. Oh, no, you don't get to vote.
Eligible.
You don't get to vote. Take that back. Sorry, you don't get a vote because you are remote today, and it involves budget. That is part of our policy. Mr. Glick.
Aye.
Mr. Nallen.
Aye.
Mr. Stenner.
Aye.
Mr. Major.
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd. Yes. Ms. Wielden is also a yes vote. 6-0.
I move that I hope I did get this right. I move that we table item G, elementary and secondary student handbooks, so that we can schedule a working session between now and our next board meeting.
Second.
Okay. So there's a motion to pull out item G in interest of a board working session. All those in favor, I will go through the list. Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Mr. Glick?
Aye.
Mr. Nallen?
Aye.
Mr. Stenner?
Aye.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd? Yes. Ms. Wielden, I'm ready, but I can wait too. So yes. Okay, and next on the agenda, do we still have E? Right.
Yeah, and I'm okay voting on this tonight, but I don't want to step on toes.
Motion.
So I move that we approve item E, request for the school profile amendment for CSA New Tech.
Thank you, Mr. Nallen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stenner. Motion with the second is to approve item 9E, which would make CSA New Tech its own high school. I'll start with Ms. Lloyd. Aye. Oh, questions and comments. Thank you. So sorry. Questions and comments.
I believe we've
Okay, we've covered it. Okay.
covered
Just
quite
want
a
to
bit.
make sure.
We're going to vote on it.
Ms. Lloyd? Aye. Mr. Major?
No.
Okay. Mr. Stenner?
Aye.
Mr. Nallen?
Aye.
Mr. Glick?
Aye.
Mr. Schultz? Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Wielden is also aye. Vote passes 6-1. Okay.
All right, thank you, everyone. Human Resources recommendations.
Yes, thank you. The 22 Human Resources recommendations consist of 1 retirement, 9 resignations, 11 appointments, and 1 leave of absence, and there are no additional personnel recommendations. So I request that you please approve items 8A and B as presented.
Thank you, Justice Stahlbaum. Do you have a motion?
I move that we approve items 10A and B under Human Resources.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. My goodness, Mr. Nallen and Mr. Major. Mr. Schultz, I believe you wanted to abstain from this vote due to conflict of interest. Is that right?
Yes, I have a family member amongst the list.
Okay, so I will not count your votes. So the motion is second on the table. Any questions or comments before we go to vote?
The only thing I would ask is if we could maybe once or twice a year get some summary data of exit surveys, if you have those, so that we understand why people leave. I know, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I met an auto advisory class with Mr. Guthrie, who all the kids seemed to love, but I saw that he was resigning, and I was very disappointed. I even saw some stuff on Columbus Man, so I really am curious as to why we have, obviously people leave for different reasons, right? But just want to understand why some of the people leave. If it's, I mean, could be many reasons, just how we can impact it so that we can keep more teachers.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for item 10, A and B. Mr. Schultz is abstaining. Mr. Glick?
Aye.
Mr. Nallen?
Aye.
Mr. Stenner?
Aye.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Ms. Lloyd? Aye. Ms. Wielden is also yes. Motion carries 6-0. Okay. Board input and review. Mr. Schultz, you've been very patient. It's hard to be remote. I would like you to start, please, if you're ready.
I won't take your time. You're okay. I appreciate all of you being courteous to my ability to hear in.
I think we'll go to Mr. Glick.
You finished. I'd like to start out by saying thank you to Mrs. Day and Mrs. Winnicky for their tour of Schmidt and that project over there. I was really impressed with what's going on over there, and hopefully by the end of next year we can get back to business over there and move on. Next of all, I'd like to congrats to all the seniors who finished their senior project last week. That's always a big load off of your mind, and kind of you're in cruise mode for the last month. I was perusing Facebook the other day, and I also saw that East Wrestling Team had 9 NCAA academic All-Americans, which is kind of a big deal. You get to compete across the nation and get to be an academic All-American. It's kind of cool. So congrats and good luck to Smith and Central Cyborgs. I got a one-on-one with them last week, and it was pretty impressive to see what they could do. And on top of that, third graders sitting there just chomping at the bit to brief you on what they do and not holding back, and just super excited to see what they can do. Next, Parkside Odyssey of the Mind is going to nationals. I believe that's in Iowa in the next couple weeks. And then congrats to CSA New Tech for their Boiler Tech Challenge. They won it all, to include 5 trophies and all the different weather-related disaster relief that they planned for. And the one thing, go back to the cyborg, sorry, notes are out of order. The teammates all discussed their engineering notebooks, and talking with Mrs. Haynes, those rival dissertation papers, They get very elaborate, some of them upwards of over 200 pages, which is kind of crazy when you think that these are 3rd through 6th graders and some of them 7th and 8th graders as well. I think Smith's was roughly 90 pages is what they said, which is still really impressive. And that would be it. Sorry, long list today. Yeah.
Mr. Nell?
So I was going to also mention congratulations to CSA New Tech on the Purdue Boiler Tech Challenge. And also commendations to the Columbus North math team. They finished 2nd in the state in Indiana Math League. It's a series of 6 different contests, one a month or one round each month. And over the course of the 6 contests, over 200 students participated, and the state lists the top, I think it was the top 45 students, and 14 of them were Columbus North students. So it's strong showing by a good number of students. Also, this is just a great meeting to celebrate all the things that our students are doing at many levels, but also what our staff does to help support teachers and students. And finally, thank you, Mr. Edwards, for the Mr. Edwards show tonight. But it was great information, and we appreciate it.
I'd just like to give a shout out to BCSC staff and just in the community in general. We were hit pretty hard with tornadoes and then turned around and had flooding just a short couple weeks afterwards. I was personally hit with tornadoes. I appreciate Mr. Glick actually came to check on me. Thank you very much for that. But I think we did a really nice job in our emergency preparedness, our communication, the services we offered to students. With food, et cetera, resources during a very difficult time in the community. So I just think the team really got it right, and that was well done. I also missed the school visit today because my daughter took priority, and there was a Key Club banquet at East, and so I'm going to do a little recognition of those students who have just given so many hours to their community. It was very cool to see, but outgoing officers, I'll list by name: Carson Schluser, Alex Wensler, who was also on the top 10 and had to leave that to go to a volleyball game, Ren Fish, Ian Scholl, and Allie Sharp. They've made a big impact. They'll go off to do great things. Mr. Stenner?
Thank you. I am personally heartbroken that Future Educator Signing Day is next week, and I will miss it. So I look forward to talking to the fellow board members who are able to attend. It really sounds like an exciting event. I wanted to thank everybody that was part of the presentations tonight, all the research that goes into it. It is much appreciated. And then last, but certainly not least, I want to call out, we're right across the parking lot from Northside Middle School, call out 8th grader Grace Lodi. She is part of the Taekwondo Cadet U.S. National Team for Olympic sparring. She's the only female in the state of Indiana to participate in that team and is one of 10 females in the entire country as an 8th grader. She's already competed internationally in Canada as an 8th grader. It's unimaginable. Gold medal at the AAU State Championships in Michigan earlier this year, and she has recently returned from the Pan American Games in Mexico, where she placed 3rd. So congratulations to all the students. It's good to be involved in something outside the classrooms. It improves academic learning. Must be time to go because they're turning out the lights.
So I've got a good relationship with Mrs. Haynes and one of the coaches for the team you saw tonight doing the robotics work. And I just wanted to put another push here. They're asking for any donations that you could all give to help with their trip to Dallas. So a lot of that is funded by the students themselves. And so anything that you can do to help there, they would take a check for a VEX robotic trip, and that is in the memo. Students in there as well. And so as much as I want to thank Mr. Clark and Mrs. Nolting for providing us some time here tonight at East, or at North, sorry, I really wish we could have had this meeting at East and maybe caught those kids before or after their volleyball game tonight. That way, you know, we could have told them congratulations as well. That was the only reason, that game was the only reason why they weren't able to make it tonight. And I know most of the meetings we have over here, but I've mentioned this before, that it'd be really nice to have kind of a traveling roadshow that goes to some of the other schools. So would have been nice to do this at East, let those kids kind of have an opportunity to bask in the claps and the applause and all that they've worked so hard to earn. So hopefully we can take advantage of that and do a better job of inclusion in the future. Thank you.
Well, so many things have already been mentioned, but I did want to give a shout out to our skaters, our student skaters who participated in the ice show this weekend. It was fabulous. I'm always so impressed with their performances. I also want to just say congratulations to our senior project students last week. They did a great job presenting their hard work at both East and North. And most importantly, just well wishes for a really safe and wonderful prom this weekend.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Wheelan, if I could just add a couple of items on there. Yes, probably the smartest boys volleyball team in the state of Indiana, I would assume that East is out there just outperforming them in that way. Specific to being in this building, I want to thank our operations team. Does anybody at the table notice what we didn't have tonight?
Cookies.
We didn't have cookies. We get those next month. But so the sun, so the operations team, if you go out there, you're going to see that there's some something up there that they put up block. Yes. So that we all didn't see here with a bright sun shining in our face. So thank you to the operations team and Nick and Asher and Josh and Sherry and Corinne, who, when we do have somewhat of a traveling roadshow and we come over here north for these 3 meetings, really do a lot to get this place set up. And then the North personnel who stay here until the end of the evening, get all this torn back down and ready for kids to eat lunch in here tomorrow.
I just have to add, I came prepared.
You brought sunglasses, that's true. So I want to thank them all and add that on this screen right here, we are just missing 2 items that I neglected to put on there. The board work session, which is a public session on May the 17th, will start at 8:30 and go till we have an agenda from 8:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So long day there, strategic planning and working together on where we want to go next year. And then also on May the 20th, and this was on a prior slide from Dr. Bozeman, but May the 20th out at the Westside Community Church, the architects will be there and reveal the design of the 12th Elementary. It'll be really exciting. Again, 5 p.m., right, Dr. Bozeman, out at the Westside Community Church, the day after this board meeting on the 19th. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Wheelan.
Okay. May 19th at 6 p.m., we will be in here for BCSC retiree celebration, followed by a regular board meeting at 6:30 p.m. And then as we discussed tonight and voted, we will hold a board working session regarding the handbooks, and just look out for that to be scheduled. We have some tentative dates, but that would be posted per guidelines.
Cookies provided on the 19th.
Cookies provided on the 19th.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips.
Okay. With that, I'll say meeting adjourned. Thank you all.